What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 139. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Hocus Pocus. So I decided to pick Hocus Pocus for this week's review because, well, Halloween is coming up, and it's 6 days from now. But also because the next Thursday is actually after Halloween, so I figured I might as well do it. Even though Halloween's probably my least favorite holiday, I hate it, but I wanted to still honor the holiday by doing a movie that's literally on Halloween, like it's set during Halloween. And this movie is really quite wonderful, actually. It's quite a nice little Halloween movie, not scary at all, just kind of like more like a comedy movie with fantasy and about witches and all that stuff. And I tell, when I first saw the movie on TV, I remember it was in my grandmother's old house, and I was touching through the channels to see what's on, and then I stumbled across this one movie, and I did not know what it was. I'm like, what is this? What's on? Like, what is this movie? And it was obviously Hocus Pocus. I didn't know at that time. And the first thing I saw, and this is just a little weird. It's gonna sound so weird, but it's just the way I was feeling when I saw the movie. It was Dani, who was a witch for Halloween in the movie, and it's probably the only movie that I've seen that a little girl wears, red lipstick. Like, she wears bright red lipstick, and it was like shocking because it's like a girl that young. I mean, I expect like maybe in their teens, but someone who's 8 years old, I would never have expected them to wear makeup like that. It's not often that happens. I mean, it happens, but it's pretty rare. And I was watching this one scene where she was in the chair, and she's like, I'm not hungry, all that stuff, and it was just like, and she's laughing, and then she's like, she stopped laughing, and then she's like, and then it's because she had lipstick, and I'm like, why? I don't understand that. I was like, it intrigued me to watch the movie because I hadn't seen the movie before. It came out in 1993. It came out the exact same year that Jurassic Park came out, actually. And it's obviously set during Halloween, but it's also a movie where it's like, Halloween is coming up. I figured I might well do a Halloween special, even if I'm not, a big fan of Halloween at all. But I wanted to at least, on the holiday by doing it. So this movie, I saw it, I didn't even realize what it was. I didn't know what the movie was. I had to track it down, like, what is this movie? A movie with a little girl who wears bright red lipstick, and it was just like, it was so weird because, again, I have never seen a movie where a girl, puts that much makeup on. I get what she did because she's a witch. It's Halloween. People wear makeup on Halloween, but like, now when she's 8 years old, I just didn't expect that. I mean, probably it's my favorite aspect of the movie, just Dani wearing that. It kind of threw me off. I mean, I was surprised, and also like, I was just wanted to keep watching that movie because it's so well done. And I did feel like this movie had a lot of issues with the director. I mean, I don't really notice that a lot, but I kind of felt like with some of the characters that were done, the way that the character is portrayed in the movie. The first character we meet is Emily. She's the sister of Thackeray Binks, who is the guy who turns into a cat in the movie. And this is the first maybe 5 minutes of the movie takes place in 1683, and I kind of had an issue with the movie with that aspect, because it's pretty clear why Emily decides to go to the witch's house, because the witches because Sarah, the beautiful witch, she just puts a spell on Emily to make her go to the witch's house. And then after that, it's like she goes out of her own free will, and it doesn't even do anything to stop her. So like, she just goes, and then she sits in a chair and doesn't even move. Like, she doesn't talk, she doesn't do anything. It's like, what's going on here? I mean, was this the director's idea to like make it so it's all this little girl, this cute little girl who, is entrapped by these 3 witches, doesn't do anything to stop it? Like, after she's summoned by that spell, obviously, she doesn't do anything to stop the fact that she's in a chair and she's talking. She's just like, yeah, I'll let the 3 witches take me. I don't care. It's like, I kind of felt like that was bad directing right there. Like, the director didn't make a great movie. Like, they could have written the character better. Like, yeah. How about Emily does not do that? How about, maybe instead of just sitting in the chair, she actually does something with her life, actually gets out of the situation she is in, and she didn't do that. It was like, I was surprised. I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't understand that. I mean, that's one of the things that I did not get, was Emily not bothering to escape. And I'm like, I would have done that in that situation if I was, entrapped by witches. I would probably escape as fast as I could. I mean, the brother came along to ended up being punished with a cat, but like, and I just didn't understand that. It was just one of the aspects of the movie I did not quite get because it made no sense. There's no context. Like, she just is someone there, and she becomes ensnared by the witches, and that's it. She's no way to escape. She can escape, but she chooses not to, and I just didn't understand. It's like, yeah, she's just gonna sit in the chair. Like, no big deal. I'll just sit in the chair. You can totally escape, but she decided not to. I just felt like that might have been a poor decision by the director because he probably wasn't thinking that through. Like, you could have written your character better. I think maybe make her motive a little more clear. Like, she actually could escape, but she chose not to. I didn't quite understand why that was a thing. But with Thackeray, in cat form at least, I felt like the CGI of his mouth movement was way better than say the animatronic movement of Salem the cat in Sabrina the Teenage Witch series, which I have been watching a lot of. And that series, there are times when they actually use a real cat, but other times they use a animatronic cat, and the mouth movements aren't quite precise. They're just like maybe they're off by a second or something like that because they're not quite accurate. But with Binks in cat form, they did a lot better job with it. I mean, this movie came out in 1993. It's about 25 years old, and it came out the same year as Jurassic Park. But the reason why they used an animatronic for the cat of Salem in Sabrina the Teenage Witch series is because it was a TV series. It's a lower budget, and they didn't use CGI at all. I think they might use CGI for the movie that they made, like the TV movie they made, and which then they spun out into a TV show. But I'm just comparing the CGI of this movie to the CGI of Jurassic Park, which had the same CGI, to the no CGI of Salem. They used an animatronic for that. But I felt like when you compare Salem the cat, was an animatronic puppet in the show, where the mouth movement isn't quite amazing, like it's not quite precise, and then you go to this movie with 1993 CGI, where you have Binks the cat, or at least in his cat form. Now he's not a cat. He's not a real cat. He just happens to be trapped in the form, and the CGI on the mouth, like the animation, is way better. Like it's way better. I think it actually isn't CGI technically, but it's more like animation. But it's really way better. It's like on point, and I just felt like that was interesting how it's different. How that kind of animation is different because again, Sabrina the Teenage Witch came out years later. Came out in 1996. I was born that year, so and I wouldn't have been able to see it yet until recently. But I just surprised me. Like, wow, I know that Sabrina the Teenage Witch has an animatronic for Salem. They could have done that same thing with this movie, but I guess because it's a movie and not a TV show, they did not do that. So I kind of surprised me. It really surprised me they didn't do that. But when you fast forward to the present day, you have Max, who's this guy from LA who doesn't really believe in the Halloween stuff, obviously. But one thing that kind of, because it ends up being paid off later in the movie, where he encounters these bullies. He decides to go to the cemetery because he can. I don't know if we know why. He just sets the bike right to a cemetery for no reason at all, and encounters these bullies who are just nasty. They're just they're annoying, they're mean, and they basically bully him, and they take his shoes. He could have avoided that. He could have just not gone to the cemetery. I mean, he didn't know they were going to be there, but he could have avoided that. And I wish that was a thing that happened because it would have been way better. If he just not gone there, he wouldn't have encountered them. But he did, and he lost his shoes. But the payoff of that encounter is later in the movie when the bullies encounter the witches. They become imprisoned in the cages in their house, and they don't even get out. They ask for Max to let them out. He didn't do it because they bullied him, and they deserve it. So it's I definitely felt like they totally deserved their punishment of being entrapped because they not only took his shoes but also bullied him and picked on him and all that stuff and insulted him, all that stupid stuff. And they were obviously just playing out bullies. And so I definitely feel like, yeah, he's not going to rescue them. They totally deserve what they got. So it's But I definitely felt like, not only because the movie came out in 1993, but also set during 1993, that the costumes that people wore during the treating of the movie, they're all based off of 90s and 80s stuff. Early 90s to, the 80s stuff. Because there's Elvis, there's Tron, there's Sonic, there's I think there was even a Mrs. Potts in there at some point. Just all this. I mean, there's also like monsters, all Dracula, all that stuff from monster stuff. People go cosplay as monsters. I mean, I don't even know why it's still a thing anymore. But I also just like the fact that they kind of brought in pop culture references in the costumes. Again, you had Elvis, Sonic, Mrs. Potts, Dracula. I think I mentioned Tron, and just a bunch of other ones from like the 90s and 80s, and mainly the 90s. I mean, Elvis Presley was during the 80s, but also like the early 90s, because it's set in the early 90s. But like it's the early 90s, just like that peak of the 90s. So it was interesting to see costumes from pop culture that were done like that. They also had some little girls right after the Sender Sisters enter the quote, devil's house, which is just this guy, and these two little girls come along and they're like, sweet broom, and they take off, and they don't realize that they're actually brooms, that actually magical and stuff. And I found that was really funny, because they actually cosplay as the Sender Sisters, because it's supposed to be like a myth and everything. It's not a myth, obviously, but it was actually quite a funny little thing. And it's overall, this movie does have comedy. I will say it has a bit of comedy in there, obviously, but yeah. That was a good scene. I like that. One takeaway from this movie that I really liked was not just Dani, but also Sarah Jessica Parker's singing voice. I mean, she plays Sarah, which is kind of funny because the actress who plays Sarah is also named Sarah. But the idea is that she has a beautiful singing voice. I love her singing voice, especially like, you hear it in the beginning of the movie, and then you hear it towards the end of the movie when she's getting children to come to the witch's house. I love that singing voice. It's amazing. I mean, she's obviously the most beautiful sister of that's the description. I mean, she's amazing. But I just love the voice. I love the singing voice. I just adore it. It's amazing. I think that all the actors did a good job in their roles, but particularly Sarah Jessica Parker did a really good job. And I know if you know the podcast, the Internet Box, it was an episode where one of the members brought up about Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't know why, but it was hilarious. It was like a thing that they did, and it was so funny. But I definitely felt like she had the best voice. Honestly, she had the best voice, and I loved it. I loved that part of the movie, and that's really all I can say about Hocus Pocus. It's not a bad movie, honestly. I didn't even know what it was until I had to look it up after I saw it on TV. But I thought it was a really good movie. Honestly, I loved it. I thought it was great. I had to watch it a couple times. It's one of those movies where I really enjoyed it over and over again every time I watched it. I mean, I think the main purpose of why I liked it so much is because when I first saw it again, I was like, what is this? A little girl with lipstick? What else is going on here? I mean, again, it's unusual. Like, girls that young, it's pretty rare for them to wear makeup that young. But it just kind of surprised me. I didn't really expect it was going to happen, because that's not something I really see a lot in movies, is, girls that young. She's 8, and she's wearing lipstick. I mean, it was bright red. It was like, I'm like, what the hell? Especially when it's just like, I didn't expect it. I think that's my favorite. Definitely, I think that Dani is one of my favorite characters. I mean, she's not only adorable, but she's just like, it's just so weird to see her wear something like that. I just didn't expect it, but I still thought the movie was great. I thought that it was funny. I thought the witches were funny. I thought overall it was it was kind of a funny movie, and it had some good moments in it. I liked it overall. I like Binks as a cat. I love the character Binks. I love them. Well, I don't know. I thought the zombie was kind of funny too, because he eventually was able to talk. But I definitely felt like Dani is my favorite character, just, mainly because of the fact that she was wearing lipstick, and it was just the weirdest thing ever. Because I mean, again, usually you see that with girls who are in their teens, they start wearing makeup because they want to make themselves look older, and this kind of thing, it's like, I think the only reason she did it is because, again, it was Halloween, and that's probably the only reason why she did it. But just in general, I thought the movie was great. I had no issues with it, really, at all. Well, maybe the only issue I could really think of it was the directing, maybe with the beginning of the movie where Emily went to the witch's house out of her own free will. Again, it was a spell, but she could have just run away, she could have run away. But that's really all I can say about the movie. Just if they would have done that better, I thought it would have been a better movie. But I think the takeaway from this movie, and just to basically wrap this review up, is I liked the fact that we transitioned from 1693 to 1983. I like that. I like that, the whole 300 years thing, and they become younger, and, it's their mission to become younger, and they want to suck the life out of kids, all that stuff, and, it's pretty horrible, but, like, it's, honestly, I mean, it's become a cult classic. It's become a cult classic because it was so well known, and I didn't even know what it was until I actually had to look it up. It was like, yeah, this movie is great. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're wanting to watch a movie for Halloween. I'd recommend this. I decided to pick this movie because, Halloween is coming up, and the next Thursday is after Halloween, so I figured I might as well review it because, it's Halloween time, so it's happening. Even though I don't really care for Halloween, I might as well, review it, get around to doing it. So, yeah, definitely check it out. It's worth it. It came out in 1993. It's set during Halloween, obviously, and it's just a perfect Halloween movie for you guys to watch. So, I would definitely recommend it. And I'm gonna give this movie a 8 out of 10. Overall, great movie. I loved it. It's a good Halloween movie. Honestly, it is. See, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate your support. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series that I do, as well as other great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.